your hand together. Let me bring on stage Wayne Haid, better known as Watchman.
I'm an African, I'm a West Indian, I'm a Trinbagonian. Yes, all these things are true. But I'm a working man, a Calypsonian, I'm your fellow human. Yes, I am one of you. But every time I ask you to choose your people, you start using color and class one time. But as a man who knows how it is to struggle, let me tell you how I choose mine. Like if a man could sell on the highway all day just to try and live honestly, and would break his back in a quarry for small pay. Anytime he wants, he can walk with me. But if you call yourself a top lawyer, but go to court and lie to try to save a drug pusher, if Dolce the money make you fat while your conscience grows small, you're a leech and you're not my people at all. Rise up, my people, let the world know you are alive. Let them see that despite all struggle, my people are bound to survive. Men go walk over here and then beg father just to get $1. Yes, we want to be rich. We don't have money, but we'll play lottery because we think we're lucky. Yes, back and forth we switch. But some of the rich people you admire, their business is laundering drug money. And when they try to outsmart the mafia, the grave is a cane field in Caroni. But if a man could sell cloth and barra on a bike, and 20 years later he gets wealthy, he could build up as many plazas as he likes. That is the progress I want to see. But if today a man broke and hungry, and tomorrow he driving push motor car, my people may never own a Ferrari, but at least we could get old and retire. Rise up, my people, let the world know you are alright. Let them see that despite all struggle, my people are bound to survive. There are autocrats playing Democrats to control you peewats. Yes, that's your legacy. Talking integration, but to their children teach segregation. Yes, divided unity. So you only go to shows that have your own people. Africans go to Pan, Indians Diwali, Naga. But when the both of you come out your shows and you miss your vehicle, well, it's your own people thief your motor car. But if a man could marry a woman, not his race, and both of them could live as one family, and their children play with your children, no disgrace. That is the essence of unity. But if a nightclub refuse me entry, saying gollywugs can mix with these so-called whites, that white boy who killed short to skip the country, cause in local jail every night is gollywug night. Rise up, my people, let the world know you are alive. Let them see that despite all struggle, my people have come to survive.
When here, the watchman. Hey, watchman. Hey. Rise up, my people.
Every man's a brother, and love thy neighbor, just words on paper. Yes, we pay lip service. We go hug another, but in we corner go cuss him mother. Yes, supreme prejudice. Some Indians and whites will make it their business to hug the resources for their own clan. We Negroes will boast that how we ain't racist, because we always sleeping with Indian woman. But if a man could feed all the vagrants on the streets, my people will honor him for his deeds, and could save all the battered women that he meets. These are the things that my country needs. But if a man call himself a pundit and have a newspaper, he says to protect the poor, but only poor naked woman inside it. When that pervert dead, they should bring him back as a whore. Rise up, my people, let the world know you are alive. Let them see that despite all struggle, my people are born. And both of them could live as one family, and their children play with your children, no disgrace. That is the essence of unity. But if a nightclub refuse me entry, saying gollywugs can mix with these so-called whites, that white boy who killed short to skip the country, cause in local jail every night is gollywug night. Rise up, my people, let the world know you are alive. Let them see that despite all struggle, my people have come to survive.
When here, the watchman. Hey, watchman. Hey. Rise up, my people.
Every man's a brother, and love thy neighbor, just words on paper. Yes, we pay lip service. We go hug another, but in we corner go cuss him mother. Yes, supreme prejudice. Some Indians and whites will make it their business to hug the resources for their own clan. We Negroes will boast that how we ain't racist, because we always sleeping with Indian woman. But if a man could feed all the vagrants on the streets, my people will honor him for his deeds, and could save all the battered women that he meets. These are the things that my country needs. But if a man call himself a pundit and have a newspaper, he says, to protect the poor. But only poor naked woman inside it. When that pervert dead, they should bring him back as a whore. Rise up, my people, and let the world know you are alive. Let them see that despite us.
Oh, yes. Hey, hey. I hope the ERC watching that. they're gonna investigate me for Calypso just now. Ivor Miller, boy, that's why I love this audience. Watchman, the policeman, lawyer and Calypsonian. He's all of that. There's a policeman, he's a lawyer, he's a Calypsonian, and he's an international worker. He worked with the United Nations. I think it was in Africa. Wayne Head, the watchman, he said, attack with full force. Attack with full force. Hey, I'm waiting for that trial. I'm waiting for that trial. I'll wait with that trial. I'm gonna walk with a whole set of kaiso. A whole set of kaiso to the trial. They want to know but racism and racial division. Good evening to all of you. Thank you very much, Ivor. I can always depend on my audience. I know, Walter Rodney said when he went to Jamaica, and he was going out into the street corners to talk about African history. And when he go out in the street corner and he started to rap with African history, and them Rastaman lick down African history, but he said sometimes he had to stop lecture and listen to them because they knew more about African history than he did. And I've always said this audience here really is much more. There's not an issue that comes up here and I'm fumbling for an answer that I don't get the answer within seconds on this program. I want to say, I don't want to say proud because that's so condescending to use a so-called big word. But how honored I am to be part of this this thing that we are doing here. And good evening to all of you, wherever you're joining us from. I know that I have a few people to thank who have been doing their duty before I bring on Dr. Adams. Let me make sure here. I know Curtis, thank you for your donation. Lauren B. Lauren, thank you. Old time, long time listener. Thank you for your thing. My Congo friend, my Congo partner, my Congo cousin, my Congo family, Lynette Greenwood. Thank you, Lynette, for your donation. Ian France. Ian, thank you very much for your donation. Yuri, thank you for your donation. Rebecca, thank you for your donation. Errol, thank you for your donation. Thank you for your donation. Ian and Lynette, I have to thank you all twice because you all sent in two months donation. Thank you all so much for keeping faith with us and helping us. One will dirty build dam, and we are building dams here. We are building dams. I want to thank, I know there are a couple of other people I have to thank. Rosamond, I want to thank you very much, my sister. I want to also thank Gregory, thank you so much for your donation. And as I speak, Kurt has just sent his donation. Thank you all so much. And I know there is another handle with a couple of people. I will do so before the end of the program. A lot of you shout out last night for the program. It went 2 hours and 40 minutes with Dr. Adams' friend and the former colleague, Leonard Craig, was here last night. I got so many responses to that program. I know it frustrated the hell out of you all, but all 1900 of you stayed on because I think what has happened is that the discussion that was prompted by my comments has reached such a level that they have to engage it because it's a real serious issue. And I think people are now warming to the fact that is a very important issue. I was awakened this morning by a female parliamentarian who saw the program and really gave me some important insights, and I am going to follow quite a spirited and discussion with her, and it gives me hope. It's a young woman, and she was reminding me of some things that I forgot. Young Syrian who is ready to engage the issue. And you know what? You know what heartened me with my 1 hour discussion with that young woman? She knew the definition of racism. My fear is not so much African Guyanese, because there's a way in which you all live out that on a day-to-day basis. But the younger African Guyanese, in fact, young people of all races, are being socialized to believe that racism is somebody who talks about race. And that is so, that is really developing a generation of ignorant people. Some of the people who say it's racism, they know better. They're using it to give our people a wrong definition of what racism is. And we've got to fight it back. I also spoke to a brother from the quarantine who had been trying to get on to me, who got on to me a week ago. I didn't get around to talking to him until today. And he told me about the hell that is going on there on the quarantine. And then I talked to somebody else from the quarantine. I know about all the red jerseys with the $35,000 wrapped inside. I know about all the slave catching that is going on the quarantine for a little piece of land at Palmyra. I know who the slave catchers are, and there are some big people who sell out small people. And I'm paying attention to what's going on on the quarantine. And I want you, wherever you are in your communities, get in touch with us and let us know when these things are going on. As I said, it takes me some time to get back to everybody, but eventually I will get back to you. And we want to record these things. In 1961, Brother U.C. Kwayana, people would telegram him things that were happening in various parts of the country. African people who were beaten more than you didn't get it in the news in Georgetown. And he compiled all those letters and telegrams that he got. And he called it Next Witness because he was preparing to appear as a witness before the United Nations, which was sending down a team to investigate the racial disturbances. And that is now in a booklet called Next Witness. He republished it years later. And we want to do a version of that Next Witness. When these things are happening, let me know, let us know, so that we are going to be able to document them. Things are happening so fast in Guyana, after something stays in the news for a day or two, some other scandal comes out. I want to, hail up the people of Black Bush Polder who came out onto the streets and protest against the government that they voted for. And I heard them talking that the government is spending all the money on sugar and no money on rice. You remember the opposition? Yeah. I hear some of them say they agree with Dr. Hines that the government spending plenty money on lick bottom Africans. They didn't say African, they say black man. Pan lick bottom black man. And then Nagi rice farmer. Let me repeat that. The Indian sisters and brothers, Black Bush Polar, tell them they must spend money pan lick bottom black man. This is not me now. Dr. is right. And I not spend money pan sugar, pan rice. And the people block the road and carry out the protest. That is a very positive development. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And I don't care whether those people vote for the opposition or not. I'd be glad if they did. But for me, the vote is not what is matter. It's that people are realizing that they're getting conned. And there's some hypocrisy here because some of the people, I watched Mark Benshaw's program last night. And those of you who were on the program know that Mark dealt with this issue. And Mark was reading out all the Indians who were backing the rice farmers and telling them the right for Black the Road and the protest and yes, the government of this and that. And some of those same Indian people, when African people protest, they say they're hooligan. So there's some hypocrisy there. But we got to work it through. But I'm in solidarity with the rice farmers at Black Bush Polder. I'm in solidarity with them. It is true. And it's good that it's coming from Indian Guyanese supporters of the PPP. That is spending money on sugar in order to bribe the sugar workers and they're ignoring rice farmers. I know they're going to go and bribe the rice farmers now. But the point is the rice farmers have come out into the open and they've made their points. And they hear but the lick bottom, as they say, lick bottom black man. And so there's a blowback. There's a blowback. I know of some of the recruiters of Africans. They come, they say they're registering you, and they give you a red jersey. And when you put on the red jersey, $35,000 fall out. And then they might come back 2 days later and say, you get the thing? Well, here's what I want to. I'm going to left $35 with you. I want you going to catch 10 black man. That is what the ERC should be investigating, not me. I know more about race and racism than 50,000 of the ERC put together. And the ERC, when asked in Parliament during the debate whether they have a staff that monitors social media, they say no. So they're taking the government money. They're not monitoring social media. They don't have a staff. When PPP people hear something and they want to go after them, they call them and say, look, we're sending you David Hines, sell Lick Bottom. The ERC didn't hear Lick Bottom. And so many other people, especially on the PPP side, never listen to my program. They responded to the 2-piece clip that the Chronicle and the PPP put on social media. Shame on them. Brother Leno was here last night, and you heard with Brother Leno, so I took Brother Leno to task. Not for going hunting black people. I don't think he's into that. I really don't think. But what I took him to task for is that having left the AFC, you're now talking about AFC leaders like dogs. There are ways you never talk to an AFC leader when you were in the opposition. When you're critical of them, you didn't talk about them like dogs. But now you go over there. So the logic of going there takes you down that road. You heard Brother James? Before he went over, it was the PPP who shoot him in December 2011. Now he's saying it's the police shoot me, not the PPP. That's where the logic of going over there. I don't care who go over. I said it over and over again. But when you go over and you now start turning against your own people, is what bothers me and what I'm fighting against. You can look at people, look at how they lick down people outside Mocha, and all you can do is that you can't publicly say that no. I can't come with you. I can't come with you. Look what you're doing to me, people. And so, sisters and brothers, that is what we're dealing with. I was thankful to Leno. At least he stayed the course. And as I said to him, Leno, I don't believe that you will knowingly catch slaves. But as old people say, if you lie down with dog, you will get bitten by the flea. Or if you go crab dance, your skin get more thin. He said, if you play mass, your skin must get powder. All over the Caribbean, and we get saying for it. I want to say thanks to Vincent Alexander and Dr. Terence Campbell for the big people analysis of the issue that I raised, because I raised an issue. And the PPP got people caught up in my language. And so they're condemning me for language, knowing very well what beneath the language, the flashing blade that I'm exposing. But they get people, oh, I don't think Dr. Hines' language, oh, hell with Dr. Hines' language. They can, Dr. Hines' language they're using every day. Carry your ass, so. The ass, the ass, or as Trini said, the bottom, has always been used in a cultural way to rebuke a catching me ass. All your ass, as brother Kemraj would borrow from the Trini. The kind of Trini does all your ass by, right? Being honest, we catching we ass. And suddenly, David Hines talk about ass is such a thing. People believe some or the other that I is some outburst. Not that Hines studies race, not that Hines pays attention to society, not that Hines knows that there's a problem developing that could get nasty, and he decided to put it out there. He's outburst, he's emotional. You know, black people, you know, we're not rational, we are emotional. I know words that got meaning in the social and political context. So they can't fool me. They can't fool me. All right? So it's an outburst. It's vile. Vile. And in Parliament, they're cussing an Amerindian woman, Joretta Fernandes. Oh, she's an Amerindian prostitute. And they're using the Amerindian word, I think it's chemo or something the word is. They're cussing black women but prostitute. They're cussing Indian women but dildo. And none of them, Leno, none of them carry those people before the ERC. None of them. The way they talk about Amerindian people, when they bring them to show to Georgetown, they carry them and give them rum for drink. Because according to them, there's all Amerindian people good for drink paiwari. That is racism. Those are instances of racism, not me talking about lapdogs. Freddy Kisoon say Anand Pusat call you lapdog. And you know what lap is? And you know what lap is? And a lapdog. Nobody can carry Anand to ERC. I know why they carry me to the ERC. I know. And they know. I got capital to spend. I get political capital to spend. And I spending it on my people. They know language, but they get some of our people caught up. All the AP and UFC parliamentarian they call for condemn, they could only get Figgy. And I hope Figueroa heard that the next day he sought to criticize Jack Dio and hear how Jack Dio talk about he like a dog yesterday on the press conference. So he condemned me. Jack Dio said, Figueroa, what a nice guy. When Figueroa criticized Jack Dio said, I don't even want to show me what I say about the boy. I hope Figueroa understand. I didn't condemn Figueroa because I still consider him one of us. And I'm not going to tangle with him. He made a mistake and he allowed himself to be used. He allowed himself to be used. And that's what the PPP does. They use you on a Monday, and on a Tuesday, they demean you. So, Jermaine, or Jermaine, however we just do it in Guyana, I hope you are learning the politics. You're young in this thing. Good evening to you all and welcome. Please share the link. Dr. Vincent Adams is here, and I don't want him to get caught up too much in listening to me because he has to talk. Doctor.
I can listen to you all night.
You didn't get a chance to see your comrade, your former comrade.
No. I didn't even realize that he was on last night with you.
Yeah. Marathon. We were here for 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Wow. No, I didn't realize.
Because we were trying with the brother.
Yes.
We were trying with the brother, because I've not given up hope on somebody like Leno. Right. I think he's a decent boy. He's a church boy and so on. And I think he's lying down over there with dog. And his skin go get mange.
The frustrating thing, Dr. Hines, a lot of times, I guess, circumstance push some people to the edge, and that's the most frustrating part, because I always say that, and that's how that's why people like yourself and I have always been controversial, because I guess because where we came from, anything is extra for us. So we never expected to be rich and to live in luxury and that type of stuff. So I guess nobody can offer anything to really attract us. And we're fortunate that we have come as far as we've come, but that was never an expectation.
Yes.
It was really so. I guess maybe that's why that's what makes the difference in terms of us standing up for our beliefs and our core principles that nobody can shake.
Yes. And you're quite right. Doctor, when I was finished my PhD, I so wanted to go back home. I applied to the foreign ministry. They never employ me. Later on, my friend Roy would say, the thing went to the high echelons and it was turned down. Years later, I tried to go to CARICOM. And my partner at the time didn't want me to even consider it. But I considered because I wanted to be home. And, they have something called courtesy, I understand, at CARICOM. When you're hiring somebody at a senior thing, you at least tell the home country, And my home country said that I'm a political activist, and they would not take kindly. And I didn't want to have to beg anybody.
Right.
And so I decided I'm going to stay in America. I'm going to work 7 months of the year. Thank God the job that I had allowed me 5 months of the year to think I'm going to be an activist 5 months of the year. And I've done that from 1997 to now, which is 28 years during that time, because I don't want nobody to offer me nothing. All right? I don't want nobody to tell me. A president I went to, and I said it last night, I went to a president to talk about what was happening in my village during the disturbance and to get some of the young boys off the streets. And, you know, I wanted a high school, a secondary school back in my village, and we worked out the mechanics for all of those things. At the end of it, the man watched me and tell me if I can get Mr. Quayano and myself to tell the gunmen to get out of Buxton. There's not me and Mr. Quayano work, there's you work, and I didn't come here to ask you for something for Buxton in exchange for no, and I walked out.
Yeah.
There was we never get the high school, we never get all the projects that he and I had, I think, because, I don't do that to me. Don't insult me like that.
Yeah.
Do not insult. But that's the politics these guys play. So I know those people went into my village, Buxton, and they started to rebuild Tipperary Hall. And the big thing, I warned my comrades in the village against it. They didn't listen to me. The PPP give them the money to start Tipperary Hall. And once they lose the election and there's no thing, they didn't lose the election yet. Once they finish with the photo op, they stop, give them money. Those people are left with millions of dollars in debt.
Mm.
But the PPP still go around and tell people that it's they rebuilt Tipperary Hall. They give them part of the money. The coalition government came in, and the people went. The coalition government couldn't honor everything because this thing there wasn't any bid. So there was nothing, it wasn't a government project. But yet the coalition government gave them part of the money. And this is what the PPP does.
Yeah.
They use our people. And we have to let our young people know what is going on here.
Yeah.
You see, Doctor, you heard or you watch anything with the people up there at Blackbush Boulder?
Yes, of course, on the, I've been seeing in some of the chats, some of the chats that I'm on. But it's, I knew that, and we've talked about it. Sometime it will hit home because it's I know we tend to focus on race,
Mm-hmm.
but it's in Guyana it has become more of a class difference because it's the poor people who are suffering. It's only that 1% that we always talk about who are getting all of the riches of the country. So it's impacting, and you cannot just go. I know there's an attempt to do so sometimes, but it's challenging for you to try to differentiate between the black poor and the Indian poor because they're all living under the same conditions. And, so what is happening now is hitting home.
Yes.
To the black poor people, to the Indian poor people who put this who put this government in this party into office. And I'm telling you, Dr. Hines, you look at their press conferences, especially Vice President press conference every week, they are worried to death, Dr. Hines. They are worried to death. When you look at the kind of issues that they are addressing, spending their whole press conference addressing, you know that they realize what is going on is that their own people who voted for them and put them in there with confidence are now turning against them because they're suffering the effects of their discriminatory practices.
Yeah. No.
That's what's going on.
Yeah.
And
I think you're right.
And you know what?
Yes.
The other thing is that it's even more evident in terms of why they're addressing these issues. It's they have seen they have seen what, the census data.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that census is telling them, Dr. Hines? They're concerned to death. They're concerned to death. So that is what we're dealing with here. And the other thing that we got to be concerned about too is that these guys are going to hustle like hell to probably fill their pockets before they get out of office.
Of course.
I think
Of course.
they realize what might be inevitable based on seeing the census and based on what we see now in Blackbush Boulder.
Yeah, yeah. And Doc, you're right. You see, I don't think it's race or class. I think it's race and class. If you're
Yeah.
Indian, you can't claim racial oppression.
Right,
You're,
right.
you're being oppressed, just like Africans, just like Amerindian. But you're Indian, and it's an Indian government, so it can't be race. It has to be class. If you're African, it's race and the class.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Totally agree.
If you're Amerindian, it's race and class. And if you're an Amerindian woman,
Yeah.
you're a black poor woman, is race, class, and gender.
But Dr. Hines, and that is why we got to be careful, because they want us to talk about race a lot of time. Because when they do that, that is how, when they see that their own people are turning against them, they're saying, hey, no, this here is all about race. But we know that it's both race and class.
And class, yes.
But they do not want to talk about the class part. They want to keep talking about the race part because they probably think that they can win that battle. But we have got to talk about both, because both are in play here. Both are in play.
When I spoke the other day and speaking to my fellow black men, I'm not speaking to Indian, but they take an intra-race conversation and projecting as if I am talking to Indians, that I'm divided. This is an intra-race conversation. As you know, in the literature, we don't use racism to describe the intra-race thing. We use terms like colorism and so on. I've been threatening on the program here to give them the right term. I wanted to keep it for the ERC. When I am speaking within my race, we deal with it at the level of color. Race and color are two different things. So we call it colorism. Right? And what they did is take that conversation and project it as I am talking to Indians, when Indians have nothing. And so, as I said on this program, isn't it wacky that here I am talking to Africans, but the people who get vexed are Indians.
Yeah.
And the people who with me are Africans. And it is because of the way they frame it. But as they're seeing in Blackbush Boulder, the class issue cannot be covered down forever. It cannot.
And I hope, Dr. Hines, when I, of course, when I was looking at that on our chats and stuff like that and on videos, I'm hoping and praying that the opposition do their jobs. People like yourself, and to make, well, you were here, but we have to make sure that we keep these things highlighted to let the Guyanese people understand that this is not just about just when we have these kind of programs. It's not about just blacks. It's about that poor set of people that are struggling, and say, we need to cross this racial barrier lines that most are thinking of, but we need to keep it highlighted, because what's going to happen? Obviously, what's going to happen? You guess what's going to happen? They're going to go out to the rice folks and share out money. You watch it.
Yes, that's what they'll do.
They're going to go share out money. So we have got to make sure that we keep these type of things in the news, because here's what's going on. Every single day there is something that comes up, but then it becomes the news of yesterday and it goes away. But we have to keep these type of things highlighted so that it could be, people could understand fundamentally what's going on in there.
Part of the problem, Dr. Adams, and I'm speaking now specifically to and about black people. we tend to be too forgiving
Yes, yes,
very
no
easily.
question.
That's a problem we have in the black
Yep.
community. And some people blame religion for it. I don't always go that far, because I think we Africans have turned Christianity. It was standing on its head, and we have put it on its foot. And so I make a distinction between black Christianity, as you live in the United States, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
When black people deal with Christianity, they're dealing with what they call the black church
Yep.
and the black theology. All right.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think in Guyana we tend to lump the whole Christian thing together, not recognizing that our spiritualists, those people who dress up with a white thing and they go around the table and they're Christians, they're black Christians, right?
Yes. Yes.
And what they're doing there is a syncretism of African worship in practice
Yep.
and Christian worship in practice, which is not Christianity. It now becomes black Christianity. I remember the first documentary I looked at, the Rastafarians. I just come out of school, and they said we are Christians. That sent in the government had sent in Rex Nettleford and Aji and Smith to quote unquote investigate the Rastafarians. And the Rastafarians tell them we are Christians, but we are black Christians.
Yes.
The Bible says, God made you in your own image, and when I look in the mirror, I see a black man, so God has to be a black man. right? And so I don't, but Western philosophy and Western worldview has had both a positive and a negative impact on black people. We tend to see the general and stay there. We don't move from the general to the particular. And most cases, we don't move from the particular to the general, right?
Yeah.
So it's bad to use cuss words, full stop. So don't care how a man backs you and beat you, you mustn't cuss, right? It's subhuman because white people just cuss.
Yep.
When white people said, bloody and Ravidev talks about me cussing, Ravidev used the word wankers. He calls people wankers all the time. Ask an Englishman what is a wanker.
Yep. Yep.
Right? The B word, the BUGGR word. That's British people cuss word.
Yeah.
It's in their dictionary. But if we use it, oh Lord, you lose, and so on. So, in a sense, we take Western forms of communication too far, because we have developed our own forms of communication, which is what the Calypsonian use, the folklorists use, our children use. I'm always amazed. I go back in Guyana 1 year and I hear, you're able. Doc, it took me a year. It took me a year to figure out the nuance of that thing, the nuance of that thing.
Yep.
It took me 1 year to figure out the nuance of it.
Yep.
You're able, and I said, but all right, because I was coming at it from the English language.
Yes. Yes.
And
yes.
not from Creolese. The minute I put on my Creolese, I get it. And it's them young people.
Yep.
Them young people out of their own existence come up with that, which has now become universal in Guyana. You're able.
Yeah.
Right? And so our people are literate in a particular language, but they want you and me to communicate with them with another language which they're struggling to pass in school. Right?
Yeah.
Our children can't pass English in school, and we must communicate with them in a language that they have difficulty passing, and not communicate with them in a language that they can manipulate. Lord have mercy. Doc, we got some things to talk about.
Yeah.
The gas, the energy conference and the flag raising ceremony came together, bam, bam, whap, whap. And they didn't invite the opposition to the gas thing. They didn't invite the opposition to the flag raising ceremony. A flag raising ceremony, which in 1970, when we became a republic, Burnham and Jagan hug up one another. 55 years later, we are celebrating that thing, and the PNC is not there. The PPP has commandeered that thing. A gas to energy conference where the opposition has infinitely more experts on gas and energy than the PPP. The opposition was not invited. The cynical part of me said, good. At least they're showing our people the real colors. If our people had any doubt about how bad-minded and small-minded these people are, those two developments, those two incidents should prove it to them. But then on the more rational and the more analytical, if you will, perspective, they're in the end doing more damage to our country than they think they're damaging the opposition. After all, the opposition, had we been a united opposition, we could have mounted our own alternative. Go to Linden and mount our own energy conference there. Go to Buxton and raise we flag there, right? Had we been a united opposition that, was thinking these things through, all right? But of course, that is water under the bridge now. But your thoughts on the symbolism of not inviting the opposition to these things?
There's some words that stood out in that Calypso introduction that your Calypso piece there.
Yes.
And there was there were some words here. There's a sentence where he said, autocrats are playing Democrats to control you. Autocrats are playing Democrats. These are the same people, Dr. Hines, who go around the world peddling, guess what? One Guyana. These are the same people who go around the world peddling, here's my motto, one Guyana. So here we are, as you said, and I think you did an excellent introduction in terms of the context. Here we are celebrating, one of our biggest anniversaries and raising the flag. You would think that means the flag is supposed to represent the entire nation.
Yeah.
Here we are with oil and gas, the most consequential part of our economy for decades to come. And and then you have the government bragging, the vice president bragging that there were 60 countries who visited. There were 1,600 attendees at that conference. You had people come from all over the place to present. Mike Pompeo came to that conference and presented. And when they asked the vice president about Mike Pompeo, you know what he said? Well, the question was in terms of, so Mike Pompeo has been basically pushed aside. He's been declared kind of persona non grata by the current Trump administration. How come he was invited, etc.? They said, they went on as to the influence that he has throughout the world he's built. However, the reason why they invited him, guess what was the reason that he gave several times? To build a relationship with him. So here you are, wants to build a relationship with him, but you don't want to build a relationship with the opposition.
There you go. Well put.
That wants to make in terms of oil and gas, they have got to make decisions in Parliament. But you want to build a relationship with Mr. Pompeo, who's not even part of the U.S. government anymore, which is telling you can only conclude that you're not interested in building a relationship not only with the opposition. The opposition represents half of the nation, Dr. Hines, half of the nation. So it's not only opposition leadership, but it's the half of the nation that you really don't care about. And here's the other thing about it, Dr. Hine. This is not the first time. So it's not a case. When I hear, my good friend Mr. Ramson, say, well, okay, you apologize. This is not the first time. So you can't tell me that you're going to apologize now. This same oil conference, I remember 2 conferences ago. This is not happening now. I get 2 conferences ago. I brought this to the attention to the media. I think I even wrote a piece in it. And you know what they came back and said? That the opposition doesn't have anybody who's qualified to be at that conference.
I remember that. That was last year. It's not even
Can you believe that? These people are saying, I want to know what is the qualification of Jagio and Ali and them. What are the qualification requirements to get in? And what do they have that members of the opposition doesn't have? So it's this big farce about one Guyana and well, but I'm like you. I think if there's a positive here, is to let the world see the farce in them declaring that we've got unity and one Guyana, and who is really showing themselves as to whether they're racist or not, or whether they're not unifying as far as the country is concerned. Who is doing that? It is they're showing it to the rest of the world. And you would think, Dr. Hines, you would think that at least they would be smart enough to say, well, okay, even if it's just for a day or a week, let us hoodwink the rest of the world. To show, you know what I mean? Let me bear strain. Let me bear strain for a week. That week will pass and we can go back to eating. But the arrogance, Dr. Hines, it is the arrogance that they think that they can do whatever they want and get away with it, and it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. And it's gonna happen again next year. But I'm telling you, and you and I and others may have something to do with it, because we've got to seriously consider, even if they invite us, you've got some excellent thought there in terms of, well, okay, well, they wouldn't be there next year anyway.
Anyway.
But nevertheless, we have got to start to, well, okay, what is plan B when they do these type of things? Because we have more knowledge on our side. When you hear this foolishness about we do not have qualified people, I challenge them to show us what are their people, what the qualifications are their people on that side versus what we have on our side.
Yeah. A couple of people told me while they so stupidly they put in reports in the Chronicle on the conference, and next to it, Dr. Dine say Lake Bottom Africans. I hear the Caribbean people giggling because they know what it means, but the white people are saying, what is Lake Bottom? What is Lake Bottom? So damn fools. I mean, they're supposed to be propagandists. You got people from 60 countries in the country, and you are making a big noise about David Hine saying Lake Bottom Africans. And embarrassing yourself. Embarrassing yourself. I hear it's the Trinidadians and Barbadians, and so they're giggling because they know what it means. And the white people there, people from the Middle East, are asking them, what does it mean? But that's what happened when you get so arrogant. When you get so arrogant. Dr. Vincent Adams here tonight. Dr. Adams, the government is still going ahead with this second gas to shore pipeline. Now, I am not an expert on these matters, and I usually leave them to people like yourself who understand them. But I'm a normally sensible person. And it says to me, if you build in something, and there's a lot of controversy over this thing you're building, you build one cow pen, right? And a lot of controversy where the cow pen is there, and the people window, they go smell the cow dung. You didn't do a feasibility study. You didn't do this. And the price of the copain go up every day, every day, every day. You know, you put the copain at the front of your yard rather than the back of your yard, and so on. One would imagine you would fix that wrong copain before you begin to talk about another copain. I mean, I didn't have to become an engineer like you to figure that out, right? I didn't, and none of the people on this program or who would listen to it later would have any difficulty figuring out. You get a controversial copain. Figure out that controversy, settle that before you before you even buy another cow.
You are absolutely. I like how I like how you put things very simplistic, which for people to understand. And I wish we were talking about a copain here alone.
Exactly.
We're looking at, folks, this project, to put things into perspective. This project started out under the current opposition, and studies were done ranking sites, looking at various criteria, ranking sites as to where this gas to shore project. I'm talking about the one at Wales.
Yes.
Based on a whole lot of studies, they decided that it should be what's the name of the place? Up the East Coast.
Yes, behind Cumberland area.
Cumberland area.
Yes.
The Wales site was ranked Wales, I think, number 10 or something. Not a case where it wasn't considered for various reasons. It's in a developed area. It's in a highly populated area. Now we're finding out that the soil conditions that they signed up to is bad, and the contractor's taking the government to court. We might have to pay over $100 million when this is all over for that. And on top of that, the price, Dr. Hines, and this is not jagdy on their money. Okay, that's the reason why they could be so loose. The price started out under the coalition with less than $1 billion. It was like $700 million, right? Now you know what it is? It's north of $2.5 billion. Like you were saying, besides all the controversy, Dr. Hines, here we are. The price has tripled or more than tripled. Are we talking about billions of dollars? And now they're talking about building a second. They cannot even put up a lantern post in Georgia. Not even a lantern post. All the lantern posts falling down. And now you're telling me you're going to build a second one. You didn't do a feasibility study. You didn't do an EIA, and that is the reason there was no planning. That is the reason why the price has tripled. Now we don't even know when it's going to complete it. The pipeline has been built by Exxon, and the pipeline has been sitting there over a year now, waiting. Wasting money. You build a pipeline, it's waiting there. They put nitrogen in it until they're ready, but they're sitting there wasting time, wasted money, and now we're going. And who's gonna? So we're gonna go take some more loans, I assume.
Yes.
So we're putting ourselves in debt. We're gonna have the same issues that we have, because it will be political again, because that site was chosen because of politics. They cannot deny that. And let me remind people again, this whole contract that they talk about, the Exxon contract, that they bring up this thing about sanctity. As soon as you raise the sanctity contract, in clause 12 of that contract, it says, "Thou shalt do a feasibility study, for any use of that gas." They refuse to do it, and then you talk about sanctity of contract. But we cannot even take care of what's going on here right now, and then now we're going because the project is delayed. We didn't even know when it's going to be finished. Maybe I don't know when it's going to be finished. I know what the cost is going to be. Like I said before, it's more than triple now. The price is more than $2.5 billion. And that's where we are. And then you're talking about going up, and then you have the president, the vice president, yesterday blaming everything, the lantern post falling down, the roads not being built correctly. He blamed it on the engineers, like he always does. It's not the leadership, it's not the government. He push it off. These engineers, they are to pay a price. Hell, it's not about the engineers. It's what is the culture that you have set. Is the culture in the leadership that you have set. The buck always stops at the top, but this guy doesn't. The buck doesn't stop at it. The buck stops way down. He could blame everybody else. So if you're telling me that you don't even have engineers to oversee these projects, what the heck are you going in and building these projects for then, and wasting taxpayers' dollars? That's what's going on here, Dr. Hanks. And by the way, and David Patterson knows the numbers much more than I do in terms of. David mentioned, as a matter of fact, in our press conference, David said, how could you go in tripling? Here's another common sense one for you, Dr. Hines. You got to be an engineer to know this. The price has been tripled. And from day one, when they came in, they were saying that the cost is going to be like 5 cents per kilowatt hour. The price has tripled. The cost, but it still remains at 5 cents per kilowatt hour. How is that possible? How is that possible? How is that possible?
Yeah.
So that's what we're dealing with.
We're dealing with Dr. Vincent Adams here. And Doc, I deliberately use the cow example. We got an old folk song. Cow dead on me door, cow dead on me door, cow dead on me door. Cow dead on me door, $20 can buy one cow. Cow dead on me door. Cow dead on me door. $20. You give me $20 can buy back this cow here. All right. Yeah. I deliberate. You see folk wisdom. What track on them go to university, and me and you, all we had to go to university to learn. Our people learn.
That's right.
On their day-to-day experiences.
From real life.
Yeah. The dissertation is in them song that we singing now. In them terms like lick bottom that they give out. That is the dissertation.
Yeah.
That is the thesis. Yeah. You understand? $20 can buy one cow. When me go tell mama, $20 can buy one cow. Cow dead me do. Cow dead me do. No, cow dead me do. That money that they are telling us that the gas to shore pipeline cars, I will know $20 can buy the cow. Yeah. And $20 cannot buy that.
That's right.
The same thing they did with the Skeldon thing.
Yep. And do you know, Dr. Hines, that was another example where Jagdio, do you know that he attempted to blame the opposition for the Skeldon fiasco? Yes. I couldn't believe it. I said, wait a minute. I almost fell out of my chair when this man was trying to gin up a story to blame the opposition for his Skeldon fiasco. Everybody blames except for himself. That's not leadership. He does not deserve to be a leader of this country.
I'm talking about banishing people from the politics.
Exactly.
That man. The government is talking about cutting a deal with an American company to refine our share of the oil, and then return the refined product to be stored in Guyana for distribution locally and in Brazil and CARICOM. Again, them things that's hot me at a certain level. Makes sense of it to me.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me either, okay? Because here is the trickery when they make these grandiose announcements. It sounds, to any Guyanese, it sounds nice and real. So let me tell you what they're advocating here. They're gonna take our oil, we get 14.5% in terms of oil production because we get paid in oil. It's not in cash. So we're gonna take our oil, make a deal with this company. I think it's in Louisiana. We're gonna refine the oil, and then we're gonna bring it back to Guyana to store it So we're going to have a big infrastructure that we're going to be building in Guyana to store that refined fuel or whatever products is going to be coming out with. And then we're going to be distributing throughout the Caribbean and even Brazil, I think, etc. Now, I want to know, Dr. Hines, you and I know. I want to know who are the people involved in this, because you know that this that didn't come up. So who are the people? Do we have, first of all, who's going to fund it? Who is going to, who's the third, if there's a third party involved, and you know that they've got their friends and family. There's some, but they're not giving us those details. This area will belong to the people. They have to release, if they've got a plan, that plan needs to come out to the public to let the public see the details in terms of how is it going to be funded? It's going to be funded by whom? And we need to see the economics. Because remember again, this here is no small project, Dr. Hines. We're going to have to build one hell of a big infrastructure in Guyana itself. So this is no small little, we just put down a couple of tanks. That's not what this is going to be. Because you're going to have movement of liquids, So they need to release. It sounds nice when they just get out there at the conference, and it sounds good to everybody. We want the details as to who's involved, how is this going to be funded, and we need some more details.
We need some more details, Doctor.
And like I said, Dr. Hines, we can't even handle what we're handling right now. We can't even. You have to go back to the lantern post analogy. We can't even put up lantern posts properly in Georgetown, and we're gonna go building these big tanks and building these major infrastructures that we're talking about, and then you guys coming to Jesus meeting at 5 o'clock in the morning and exposing everybody that we don't know what the hell we're doing, and even the vice president himself is berating the engineers that they're not capable, and then we're going into these major projects. I mean, so that's it's a major problem. But we want to see the details on this project.
We want to see the details on the project. Dr. Vincent Adams here tonight. As usual, we are looking at a range of issues. I would like to thank Mark, for sending in your donation in the last couple of minutes. Mark, thank you very much. I would like to thank Azor, for sending in your donation. Azor seems to be a business, so I think I got that right. Yes, Azor. I want to thank you. I want to thank Natalie for sending in our donation. Thank you very much. Courtney, thank you very much for your donation. Makes life a little bit easy for us. We are able to pay the bills. As you know, the economic story is demand and supply. These things you start off, you pay StreamYard. Next thing you know, StreamYard send you twice the bill. But in fairness, I mean, there are all kinds of bells and whistles that come with these things now. And the kind of charge you. Thank you all for looking out for Politics 101. And of course, please do look out for the other programs, because we are all in this together. As we are here tonight, we noticed that our brother, I'm going to try to get him on next week, brother Paul Slow, they have gone after him again.
Yeah.
Now seeing that he called somebody name. I mean, come on.
That's the most ridiculous charge that I've ever heard, Doctor. I had to read it again when I saw that. I had to read it again. And they called the name in court.
Yes, they called the name in court. Called the name in court. Calvin, thank you very much for your donation, Calvin. It's Friday. It's Friday night, Friday payday by Friday payday. Thank you all very much for your donation. Doctor, there's another issue I want to talk to you about. Let me see here. I have it here. The issue that I want to get you here it is. The vice president yesterday in his press conference said that unlike the coalition, they have been publishing all of the field development plans on their website. Is that true?
Dr. Hines, that's the biggest lie.
Talk to me.
And this guy has no shame. And, I think that, but he's one of those guys who believe that, that we don't really see what we think we see or hear what we think we hear. That's his mentality. Again, it goes back to that arrogance and the cultish mentality that you're not thinking about for yourself, but he believes that whatever he says, people are just they're indoctrinated with information he feeds them. Let me tell you what the truth is. The field development plans is the guts of each of these projects. Each one of these projects, Lisa 1, Lisa 2, Payara, Ural, or you just name them. Before you've got to, you do, besides the environmental permit that you get, there's the field development plan. It's a big thing. And that is the guts. It has all of the details of all of your operation, every single thing in detail. So that's the plan that has to be approved. When I was at the EP, we always tried to sign both on the same day. As a matter of fact, I remember this field development plan is so important or so critical. We spent almost the entire week in Houston with a consultant from England reviewing that plan in detail, because that's the technical document that they have got to meet. So it's the guts of the project. Myself and others have been calling for that plan to be seen by the public. So the vice president, first of all, in the first place, he said, well, it's proprietary. Well, that is absolute nonsense. I've seen those plans. And I challenged him. I said, well, okay, tell me which one of those topics are proprietary. They can't answer the question because there's nothing proprietary. On top of that, Dr. Hines, does anybody really believe in Guyana or any place else that Exxon will trust the vice president or anybody with government with their secret information? Do they really believe that Exxon will put their secret information and methods into that plan? No, they would not. But let me say, so he couldn't get away with that. So guess what's the next thing that he said? He said that the public wouldn't be able to understand it. It's too complex. It's too complicated.
Yes, I heard that. Yes.
So I went after him, and probably this same show, and I said he should stop judging people by his standards. Not because you can't understand it, you don't think that there are other people to understand it. So that's a lame excuse. So now, even though those were his first two excuses, I'm surprised that within the last couple of weeks, he says he's got a new one now. And he comes out and he decides to lie barefacedly. He said, unlike what the opposition used to do, they have published every single FDPs on their website. Dr. Eyes and I thought that I was going crazy. I said, nah, I don't think that he could be this barefaced. So I went and I checked. We all know there's nothing of the sort on the website that this man is saying. He says that they put the FDPs on the website and the permits and all this kind. There is no FDP on any website, none. So it's a blatant lie. It's a blatant lie. And nevertheless, he should. Now, in terms of, there's another document. Exxon, every time you ask Exxon about questions, especially when it comes to updates on reserves, you remember this whole thing about reserves? We're not getting it. And guess what Exxon always say? Well, we provide the government with quarterly reports. Well, what those quarterly reports are supposed to do, Dr. Hines, is reporting on the status of that field development plan. So here you are in the field development plan. You say you're going to do these things, and what the quarter report that Exxon gives to the government, they say, okay, here is the status of these things, and if there are issues, in terms of getting behind schedule or whatever it is, it's in that quarter report. That needs to be released to the people also. We need to get that information. These people are, and then I cannot believe every time I hear it galls me every time I hear them talking about, well, we're transparent. We're transparent. It's just to give them, like I said before, they don't want us to believe what our eyes are seeing and what we're hearing and feeling. So it's a blatant lie that he has released the FDPs, and which is what he's telling people. It's a blatant lie. And he needs to release not only the FDPs, he needs to release the quarterly reports. And we have got to understand, we have got to let these folks understand over and over, these oil projects does not belong to the vice president or anybody else. It belongs to the people. The people need to see what their projects are doing and the performance of it. But they don't want that. And the reason why they don't want it, because they know that they're doing a horrible job in managing this oil sector. And they know that we would see it and question it. They don't want us to question it. They don't want us to question what is going on. So that is the bottom line. So it's a blatant lie. It's a lie.
It's a blatant lie. And they don't want the people to know what's going on. Dr. Vincent Adams here tonight. We're talking about what's happening in the oil and gas sector. Lots of talk, Dr. Adams, about diversifying, getting out of a dependence on oil. Are we there? Are we there? People talk about the Dutch disease. Are we there already? I mean, when you look at the numbers that we are getting, it suggests to me that we are overly dependent on oil. I mean, your thoughts?
And unfortunately, we will be like this for a long, long time, especially, and why I say that, America drives the energy market and the energy industry throughout the world. When Obama came into office, and I remember, I was working for that administration at the time, and we put up solar panels on all of the government buildings in Washington, D.C. We were driven. When I put up, every year we had to put a plan together, when we submit budget and stuff like that to the White House and to Congress. And renewable energy was one of the major things that was in everybody's plan. It didn't matter what you do. You had to put that in there as a basis for your budget. Under the Granger administration, by the way, it was the same exact thing. All of the elements that you had to address for your budget was tied to renewable energy. But what has happened now with Donald Trump coming in, and by the way, Mr. Biden was the same thing with Donald Trump coming into office. His only agenda is drill, baby, drill, as we know. So we're going back to full fossil fuel. He's getting rid of all the renewable energy programs. He's made it, and this is no secret to him. That's his policy. That's his belief. Of course, my belief is different. However, that's what we're going to have to live with. And that's what's going to drive in everything. You watch it. Venezuela, Trump is going to have strong ties with Venezuela eventually, because, of course, Russia is his new partner now, and Venezuela is a satellite of Russia. So Russia is going to open its spigot. Venezuela will be allowed to open its spigot. A deal will be cut with them. They will open it. And remember, in addition to that, remember Donald Trump is the father of all transactionalists.
There you go.
And his main thing is oil. And if he sees his fascination with oil, and if Venezuela has 30 times the reserves that Guyana has, 30 times. So where do you think he's gonna he's gonna look out for his interest? So to get back to your original question, yes, it's gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be a challenge for renewable energy, but that should not stop us in Guyana from moving forward with our renewable energy project. There's no excuse for us not to go into solar energy production and those hydro projects. There's no excuse for that, and that's where we should be investing our money. And I'm going to give you an example: Brazil. And I remember, because of the time I was working in the Department of Energy, and every time there was some kind of a crisis in the Middle East or something, or they decided to cut oil prices. When they cut oil prices, the renewable initiatives cannot compete, so it shut them down. Then they raise oil prices. So we used to go through these cycles. Brazil in the early 1970s. I don't care anymore. I'm not gonna go through this seesaw with Brazil. Decided, I don't care what the price of. I'm gonna invest heavily in renewable. That is why Brazil is the biggest producers of ethanol and those type of products right now. They decide to go into farming to produce those cane or whatever they're producing their ethanol with, and methanol, and that is why and a spin-off of that was Brazil started manufacturing cars. They've got a big auto industry in Brazil. So that's what we need to do. We need to take the bull by the horn, regardless of what happens every place else, and invest it. Even if we produce oil, we could always export it as excess oil. So I think that it's going to be. But the thing is, with this current administration, they don't have a vision. They do not have a vision, and so it wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if that's not part of their plan or strategy in terms of going into renewable.
Dr. Vincent Adams giving us his expert opinion here tonight, and more than opinion, is expertise, because there's opinion and there is fact, and he gives us both his analysis of fact. As usual, my brother, it's Friday night, and Friday night comes with responsibilities, especially for those of us who are now getting on. As we want to throw back. These days we don't get Bobby's chair.
That's right.
But we still got, want to throw back and breathe a sigh of relief. Thank God it's Friday. Thank you very much, Dr. Adams.
Let me before I leave, there's one subject that I quickly.
Yes.
This whole, and I think it's gotten under they're really concerned about this whole Transparency International corruption in this thing.
Yes.
The vice president last week, the man spent I would say half of his press conference.
Yes.
And here again, I don't know if he believed that people are stupid or he kerfuffle in his own self. He starts criticizing Transparency International. He says that what they've done is not valid. But then he goes back and said that we did not read the whole report, because the report says that there was improvement. So on one side in the mouth, he said this thing is a bunch of nonsense. But on the other side, he said, "Oh, they said that we did have improvement." He said that several times. But guess what this man was doing, Dr. Hines? This man was trying to take credit again. You see, he dwells in a place where that he wants to tell. I guess he dwells on the unknowledgeableness, if that's a word, or ignorance of the people who are not paying attention. Here are the numbers. Before the new AFC took office in 2015, that number was, guess what, in the 20s. Okay, the highest I think was 28. As soon as the PNC took off, the AFC took office in 2015, in 2016, the number started rising, went into the 30s. When we left office, it was at 41, an increase of 42%, which means that the improvement that he's talking about is under the new AFC, but he never says that.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't say that. So those are the facts. And then when it got there now, it stays stagnant, and now it's starting to decline. So those are the facts that he cannot deny, and that is why they're worried. And he's now trying to spin it as if there's something is that something is wrong with them, and there was an improvement. and he's trying to let it sound as if there's something. But they were not the only ones. The World Justice Project, the World Justice Project concurs with them. We gained a score of 50 out of 100, ranked 70, I think it's 76 out of 142 countries with a score of 50 out of 100. So it's not only us. With Haiti and what they did with the World Justice Project, they divided up into corruption for, who's taking bribe, police, and we in a lot of those areas, we were worse than even Haiti. We were worse than Haiti. So it's not only the Transparency International. Let him go. Or you can go online and look at the World Justice Project.
The World Justice Project. Thank you very much, Dr. Adams. And I would like to thank Delnay. I think I get it there. Or Delnay. One of the two is going to be right. I would like to thank you, Delnay. Or Delnay, for your contribution. Thank you very much. And for all those of you who have contributed, I want to thank you all very much. We are eternally grateful. Dr. Adams, as usual, your insights, your expertise have been invaluable in raising the level of discussion, but giving our people the tools that they need in their hands as they peruse this path to salvation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hines, and thanks to our listeners for keeping our program going.
Thank you. Dr. Vincent Adams, a true soldier, and coming here every Friday, except when he is traveling. And one of the perks that come with retirement is that you travel a little bit more, right? But we are thankful to Dr. Vincent Adams, and thankful to you, all of you, for making this program and all the other programs, In the Ring, Straight Up, Buxtonian Guyanese Morning Time, Rickford Burke, Norman Brown, Paul Slow, all of the programs. Without you, there will be no program. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back here on Monday. For those of you who are 7 Days Adventists, the Sabbath, the Lord's Sabbath, as 7 days people always tell me, it's not the Sabbath. The Lord's Sabbath is upon us. And for those of you who do the Sunday thing, go to church, praise your God, pray for your country, pray for our struggle, pray for those who have put themselves forward as leaders in this struggle. We shall overcome, because we have always overcome. God bless us. May the ancestors continue to guide us. And may Allah and all our deities look down or look up to us as we fight this fight. Remember, get up, stand up for your rights. It's the only way. And to those of you who are opposition supporters, keep the faith, keep the faith, keep the faith.